saying is, we've talked about this before, Arnie, that feeling of connectedness that we all have around being part of something bigger than ourselves. And I like holding on to that because sports continues to do that for us. And they continue to thrive. There's tons of playoffs. The condensed seasons are colliding everywhere. I think I just checked out, Ari, there are 12 baseball games tonight. Right now, the Rockets are playing? No. Toronto's playing. Oh, Boston's playing. Boston's playing Miami. And then right after that, the Nuggets. So there's just a lot of sports going on. And because we're talking baseball tonight, Arnie, I went back to check my scorecard. I don't know if you guys remember when Arnie said, pull out, like you should pick all the championships. We're still thinking that we might want to do some kind of sweepstakes here. Maybe before each of those, like the World Series, the NBA championships, the NHL, Stanley Cup. We'll come back here. Maybe we'll do a 50-50. Everyone could throw in $10. And you can pick a team and we'll figure it out. And half of it will go to Maccabi USA, and the other half of it will go to Maccabi USA, but we can negotiate that. But because we're talking about, I went back, so I went and looked at my picks, Arnie. And if you recall, when it came to baseball, I picked the Marlins, of course.
Yeah,
No, I didn't. I picked the Rays first, and everyone laughed at me. May I tell you, the AL East leaders are the Rays. But the Marlins are on a 7-3 streak, Ari, and we'll get to talk a lot about them next week, right?
Yeah, Donna, you're lying. You're right there. And of course, you ignored my pick, which is the first place Chicago Cubs right now.
All right, so we both have a first place. We both have a first place team, all right?
There we go.
All right, so here we go. On a personal note of thanks, many of you joined Generation W last week. I wanted to thank you for that. We had over 2,000 people registered, touching from all parts of the world. It's a thought leadership event. It does remind us that the power of connection, especially now, is more important than ever. And it's Dr. Lapchick. And if you don't know who Dr. Lapchick is, you really should. He's 75 years old now. He has spent 50 years of his life fighting for social justice. His dad was Joe Lapchick. He coached the Knicks, and he had hired the first African-American player to play in the NBA. One of his first resonant memories as a 5-year-old was to go outside and see his father hung in effigy from the tree in front of his house. And that was the beginning of his awareness of needing to have a voice through sports. He left us with a great quote, and I just wanted to share that with you tonight. That's COVID brain, sorry. And he said, we all can't be on the front lines, but we all do need to get off the sidelines. So however you would like to take that as a call to action, I certainly do. And if anyone would like to provide me, if they'd like me to provide a link from Dr. Lapchick's talk, I'd like to do that too. It was incredibly powerful. Tonight we have two powerful men, at least we hope we do. I see Skip, we'll find out in a few minutes if he's really with us, who are leaving their individual marks in the world of baseball. We have Ken Babby with us, love Ken Babby. He is the owner of 2 minor league teams, and there's lots and lots of news swirling around Major League Baseball, but certainly about minor league baseball. He's the proud owner of the Akron Rubber Ducks and my home team, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. We were talking tonight about which shirt Ken should wear tonight, and he goes, I'm going to wear the Rubber Ducks. And I'm like, really? I mean, after all, I live in Jacksonville. And he goes, well, some people might not think it's kosher, but he's the founder of the First Forward Sports Group. He spent 13 years with the Washington Post, rising to vice president, advertising, and chief revenue officer of Washington Post Media. In 15, I guess it was, Ken, that you purchased the Suns, which was a legendary franchise. You've made it even more legendary. A Southern League affiliate of the Miami franchise of the Marlins. And of course, you know Arnie, because Arnie ran the Southern League for a period of time. And I'm sure you're going to tell us about that, Arnie, right?
We're going to definitely talk Southern League baseball for sure.
Okay, and he's joined by Skip Bertram, who actually there. Hi, Skip. How are you?
Donna, how you doing? Nice to see you, and everybody else too.
Okay, you gave us a little worry there, but I can tell you're with us now. I'm just going to say a couple of nice things about you, and then we're going to take it away, okay?
Okay.
All right, so Skip actually was an assistant coach for the U.S. national men's baseball team, which won the gold medal at the 1988 Summer Olympics. He led LSU, the Fighting Tigers, to 5 NCAA College World Series championships. I believe you have the highest winning percentage, .754, right, of all college baseball coaches. He's taking a drink because he goes, oh, I've heard this all before. He played outfielder and catcher at the University of Miami, so he was a player, and it was a Maccabi USA alum, Pan Am Baseball 1999 head coach. Skip, you're a legend.
Well, thank you thanks, Ken. Thanks for all of those nice things. Hi, Arnie. How are you?
Hey, Skip, how are
Nice
you?
to see you.
Great to have you.
Listen, nice to see all of you. I'm retired now, and I got a radio show. I do a few other things, and we're at the studio, for the radio show. So I can stay on pretty much, the whole time, whatever you need. And I am very much interested in asking Ken about minor league baseball.
Oh, this is
What's
cool, Skip.
happening? Is there going to be any next year?
Donna, I think your job just got replaced.
You know what? I just got to tell you, I needed a drink, and I'm sitting back, Skip. Take over.
Well, Skip, we certainly hope so. And first of all, I'm just a big fan of yours and those great LSU teams. One of my favorite Oriole pitchers growing up was Ben McDonald. Was actually just listening to him on the Oriole broadcast. Probably one of your many first round, I think #1 first draft picks, if I remember correctly, from '89, right?
That's right.
Just a big fan of your incredible success and all that you've done for the game. So, I think we're, as you can understand, and I think everybody else knows, we're living in a very uncertain world on multiple levels. The pandemic, I think, speaks for itself and the uncertainty that it creates. But we do know that Major League Baseball, and I think Ari, who's on the call here, will weigh in and share that there is a incredible desire to return to player development. It's the lifeblood for so many of these major league teams. The Marlins have built their core off of these incredibly young prospects. And as you know, Skip, that's, the minor leagues is the proving ground for where players are not only tested, but also developed and cultivated and grown. And I think it's just an essential, part of the development process to get them back on the field in 2021. So we're hopeful that we're going to see minor league baseball in 2021, and hopefully we're going to see it sooner than later with live fans at the major league level. My understanding, even in time for the postseason, which was announced today. So I think we're also keeping our fingers crossed that Ari's team, not to jinx it, is making a last minute push over these last 2 weeks. Could you imagine that? The Marlins making a playoff push here in 2020. We're pretty proud of Ari and his team.
Yes, we are. Ari, wherever you are, we're proud of you. Just want you to know.
Look, if I can say thank you, Ken, we have a magic number of 12 actually right now. And when was the last time you heard the Marlins having a magic number to make the playoffs? So we're very excited. And I just to weigh in quickly, there's no doubt there'll be minor league baseball next year. Whatever the change is that's going to happen will be figured out. But you guys are obviously in a very good position, being the franchise that you are, and the amazing job that Ken has done with Jacksonville. He'll tell you all about it shortly. But we're very proud of him in terms of the Marlins organization.
Ari, we appreciate it. I'll just say this for those that are tuning in and need live sports, you can watch this Marlins team, and there are at least 11 players on the current roster that were in Jacksonville last season. So if you want to say, and people ask all the time, boy, do these guys ever have a chance to make it to the major leagues? You could have been sitting in 121 Financial Ballpark last season, and now you're watching these guys take on, the highest levels of professional baseball. So, as Skip knows, the path to the major leagues is hard, and not everybody makes it there, but it's really exciting to see. All right, Donna, it's your show. I'll stop.
No, I don't think this is my show at all, and I'm enjoying it. I wanted to say that Ken Babby is one of the best marketers I've ever met, and I had no idea I watched 11 major leaguers last year in that beautiful stadium of ours, but that was pretty cool. Arnie, hey, hello, welcome.
Donna, this is we could just sit back tonight and just listen to some baseball talk.
I'm telling you, and Ari, he violated. We have the Howard rule. If you're over, the Howard rule is if you're over 100, 102, you're allowed to take off your mute and talk. And I don't know where Ari even came to that, but okay. Next week you can talk all you want, but not this week, Ari. All right?
He addressed me directly, but that's it. That's all I'll say.
Ari, I think we're both about to get kicked off the show.
No, No, really, honestly, you're really not.
Donna, I'm gonna
talk to Skip now.
Donna, I'm gonna start with Skip. How's that?
Okay.
First of all, thank you, Ken. Thank you, Skip. It's so fun to have a baseball show and to have the two of you on. And there's so many. This show could go on for hours because I got so many questions I want to ask both of you. But Skip, I'm going to start with you. We've known each other for quite a while, and I have to tell you, your record speaks for itself. Hall of Fame, all of the Olympic championships, all of the championships at LSU. Could you have imagined when you came from Miami to Baton Rouge? Could you imagine that the LSU program could have developed the way it did, and that college baseball as a sport could have developed the way it did under really your tutelage and a few of the others that you coached against over the years?
Well, Arnie, I had good mentorship. Ron Frazier, God rest his soul, was a coach when I worked 8 years at Miami. He taught me a lot about baseball off the field and how to make money. And I applied all of those things when I got to LSU. And I was fortunate. The football team has had 6 straight losing seasons. A basketball coach who's normally very good at that time, he was off. And the baseball team started out winning, and the people just come on in. Plus, I had season tickets that I made myself because they didn't charge when I got there. And the season tickets were for $30 for 2 adults and 2 children. And I went around town and gave out 50, 60 talks, carried those with me. And people said, well, for $30, I'll take that. And people enjoyed the winning. People enjoyed, we were successful early and people enjoyed that. As for the overall baseball, I really am happy with that, like Paul Maneri, our coach here. Those guys they make a lot of money, see, and that's what the athletic directors wanted. And when they saw that Paul Maneri could bring in 400,000 people in a year, they wanted to know how to do that. So everybody now has a new stadium. I don't know of any university in the SEC that doesn't have a new stadium. And that means they're making money on baseball, and that's a good thing. Mm-hmm.
Very good. Skip, talk about the development in the early days. You came to LSU in 1984, and when you look around the SEC now, and even the state of Louisiana, I mean, look at Tulane and UNO and all of the great programs just within our own state. You had a philosophy of wanting to, play each other and also make baseball a sport that everybody in the South would grasp onto. It certainly worked, hasn't it?
It did. I'd have big crowds at Louisiana Tech and Ruston, Louisiana, or big crowds in Hammond for Southeastern because they wanted to see LSU. And that picked up baseball quite a bit. When I first started, there weren't a lot of great athletes. There wasn't anybody that ever played. Will Clark was the only athlete from the state of Louisiana that was playing college baseball at a Division I level. And he, of course, came from New Orleans and went to Mississippi State. But that's before I got there. Had I been there, I would have, I'm sure I would have recruited Will. The players bought into the system, and they believed that they could win. I motivated some and others, but ultimately you win with good athletes. And ultimately, like Ken said, I had Ben McDonald and many like that, that were now playing that already have played in minor league and in the big leagues. But it was a tough start, but it moved quickly, and I enjoyed it very much.
Donna?
Yeah, I guess, Skip, I'm interested in your perspective. You've seen a lot of baseball over a lot of years. What's different what is different today that you're seeing
Pardon
with the
me?
athletes? Oh, can you hear me? Yeah. The athletes you see today, the game you're seeing played today, do you see much of a contrast from when you came to the game?
Well, I think the game today has been fixed by the NCAA that improved the baseball, that finally turned into a bat. You know, there wasn't a weapon or wasn't a newspaper either. So they come up with a bat that we could use, and now everybody's equal. All right, and I think there's comes from Kenny. It comes from travel ball, Donna, travel ball. The coaches get their players from travel ball. These guys played, Shane and Dan, these guys played USA baseball. You know, they were really good, and now they're playing in some wood bat league in, you know, in the middle of Florida, in Jupiter, Florida. And the coach from LSU was there, and the coach from Mississippi State, and the coach from Arkansas. And they're all so good, 160 guys. They're listed from 1 through 160 in case you're not able to do that. And sure enough, you know, the guy from LSU said, I'll take 4 of those. And the guy from Arkansas says, I'll take 3 of those. All right, and they all get 3 or 4 good players, and that's why they're so even. There's not a dime worth of difference between most all the teams in the SEC.
And I'm gonna jump to you for a sec. Before we get into minor league baseball, I want to talk to you just about your family. You know, Donna and I had the privilege of dealing at different times in our career with your father. And for those that don't know, Babby was a great sports executive and sports lawyer and agent, and worked for the Phoenix Suns a few years ago as a chief executive. But what I found so interesting was how you got your love of baseball, that a lot of it came from just being with your dad in Baltimore and traveling around. And so talk about that childhood and how, and I know you've got a son also that you're kind of nurturing in the same way that your father did with you.
You know, it's baseball has, and I'm sure Skip and so many of us would agree, baseball just has an incredible way of getting into your DNA and into your blood. And for me, it was growing up. My father was a general counsel for the Baltimore Orioles when Camden Yards was being built in Baltimore, and you know, taking the rides up 95 with him when I was finished my homework. Not only were those incredibly, you know, important parts of my childhood, we get into these great conversations on the way up to the ballpark. But I couldn't leave his office until I was done my algebra or my math homework. It was generally my math homework that was holding me up. And when I was finished, I'd be able to enjoy the game and had the chance to learn, you know, baseball, sitting next to some of the greatest names that ever played or coached. One of my favorite stories, which I'll just share quickly. On a Sunday afternoon, my dad took me into one of the suites at Camden Yards, and there was the great Frank Robinson. And Frank Robinson at the time, I believe, was the assistant general manager of the Orioles. Of course, he had managed the team and then was a Hall of Famer earlier in his career as a player. And he was eating shrimp cocktail, and he was sitting there with a jar of shrimp cocktail, and the runner that was on first base took off for second. And I said, "Oh, he's stealing." And there's Frank Robinson. I'm, you know, 12 years old maybe. And he turns to me and he goes, "No, that's the hit and run." And I had no idea what the hit and run was. And there was Frank Robinson with his napkin and shrimp and ice cubes, illustrating on a cocktail napkin, moving the little shrimp around the diamond, explaining to me how hit and run worked and why they were advancing the runner. And, you know, you get a chance to see baseball from that view, from somebody like that, just an incredibly warm, incredibly wonderful man. You know, it was in my blood from as far back as I can remember. And, you know, now I sit here as a parent of a 12-year-old Josh, and I sit here on my desk. I'll share, you know, a photo of Josh. I mean, he is absorbing the game the same way I think a lot of us did as kids. And, has created his own wiffle ball league in the middle of the pandemic. I think took my dad on in a contest tonight, a doubleheader tonight. So, we all miss the game, but I think the thing we miss the most about it is the connection and the memories that we make with our family, our friends, the things that happen honestly outside the lines that make the game so special. And while we all get the chance to watch it on TV and we're enjoying that, it's just not the same as being there and those special moments that happen at the ballpark, the sights, the smells, the sounds, the conversations in the cars with family to and from games. And I am so, just talking about it, I get goosebumps. Can't wait to get back to doing what we love.
Yeah, let's all hope that happens quickly. Ken, what you retell my 7 years in the Southern League, my three boys were all baseball players growing up in Atlanta, which was where we were headquartered then. And we spent every off hour at the Southern League stadiums and the boys remember that. And they have such great stories, just like you and your son do. Let me ask you one more question. I know you had baseball in your blood, but after you went to college up in the Boston area, you didn't go immediately into sports or baseball. You decided to go the business route. Talk to us about that and what influence, again, your family may have had in that.
Yeah. They say it's who you know, and connections are everything. So I figured, I'd graduate. I went to Wheaton College in Massachusetts. And as I was getting ready to graduate, sent handwritten letters to all 30 major league general managers. I would have done anything to work for a team coming out of school. I would have made coffee. I would have, cleaned the toilets, whatever was asked. Sorry for anybody who just finished dinner. And I think that, part of the process for me was actually not getting in so easily. And the advice that I was given very early on by one baseball executive that I just have enormous respect for, Larry Lucchino, a longtime executive, of course, in Baltimore, San Diego, and in Boston, said, the best thing that you can do is actually go out and learn a set of skills outside of sports. In the case of my dad, he was a trial lawyer. He was a lawyer that sort of found his way into baseball after sort of a different set of skills. Same for Larry. Some people do it in marketing. Some people do it in finance. Some people do it in technology and analytics nowadays. And so for me, the path of getting back to baseball would come actually 13 years later, after a wonderful journey at the Washington Post and leading their digital business. And, it's a time I'm very, very proud of. And frankly, I would have been in no position to do what we do today with the incredible team I get to do it with if it wasn't for those 13 years, learning a set of skills in leadership, technology, sales, marketing, all outside of sports. But I knew that my dream and my passion ultimately someday was to get into baseball, and there was really no way that baseball was going to keep me out.
Donna?
Arnie, is that you passing it to me? I've got a good question. Yeah. I want to say hello to Barry Kleiman. I saw Barry's on here. Hey, Barry, nice to see you. Hey, Kenny, I think Kenny Silverboard served up a really good question. So it's really for both of you. Okay, Skip and Ken. What would high-level college baseball, LSU, South Carolina, Vandy, I noticed you didn't say Florida. Florida used to be good, Florida State. How would you match them up in terms of minor leagues? Are they A-level, AA, AAA? Don't make the A-levels as far as talent and competition.
Skip, that's all, Skip. I sell hot dogs and beer for a living, so we'll leave that one to the expert.
Well, I'll tell you what, Donna, I didn't quite understand all the questions. Give it to me again.
Sure, no problem. How would you compare the highest level collegiate baseball to minor league baseball?
Oh, thank you.
A AA team, a single A team, a AAA team, or not an A team at all?
Well, I'll tell you why. Ken's would have backed me up, I'm sure. There's a big difference in minor league baseball at the A level and mostly, or even AA, where the coach, and in his case, the manager, has to fill something out for each player and then send it up to the big club. And Donna, they're not interested in who's going to win that particular game. So if there's a real good pitcher, they can monitor his pitches. If there's a good hitter, but he's 0 for 25, they don't have to bench him. They just leave him right in there. And all the players that I've had that have played minor league ball, which of course are many, have always come back the same thing. Coach, they don't care who wins. And of course, that's right. They're into player development. And I was into winning the ball game. Losing hurts twice as much as winning feels good. And there's no question about it. I wanted to win the game. And I don't think that the minor league manager is more interested in winning the game as he is in developing players to go on to AA and AAA. Also want to mention
That's interesting. Okay.
that, Kenny, when I was a kid, there were, 16 or 17 leagues. There was the big league of AAA, AA, A, B, C, D. And, I played for a D League team, and and of course, you make $175 a month in those days. And it was fun. And believe it or not, it was up to people like Ken to get them out there, get the fans out there. And somehow they were able to do that. And that's why they still exist today, although it's just too expensive to operate all those leagues for the big club. Just too expensive today. So they've shut it down to A, AA, and AAA. And to be specific, Donna, I would say that no college baseball equals good A baseball. Now there's a rookie, which are really the same players that were in college. And then there's a second year A, and they've already played pro ball and they're much better than college players. And I don't think that we could compare with them. Now there are even the best teams that play in Omaha for the national championship can't compete. Now they do have good players, meaning that they'll have 3 or 4 drafted, maybe 5 or 6 or even 7 drafted to go somewhere, and they're drafted in the first round, or maybe they're in the 38th round, but they're going to play minor league baseball and they're going to get their chance. So the answer to the question is no, I don't think we can compare college baseball, even though it's really improved, to professional baseball. I don't think the boys are there yet.
Hey, Ken, you've seen it up close because don't you host some college games at the stadium?
We do. We have a couple exhibitions every year in Jacksonville. We're honored to host the really one of the biggest games in the state, Florida versus Florida State, every March. That was my first taste really of baseball in Jacksonville. I went to a game before we really even had started that first season with the Suns back then. I went to Florida State baseball game. The ball sounds a little different off the aluminum bat, right, Skip? But it's great baseball, and these kids play their hearts out. Most of these kids will never, have a chance to play professional baseball, and they love the game. I mean, legitimately love the game. And then we had the great pleasure last year of starting a new tradition in Jacksonville, and that is the weekend of Florida, Georgia. Everybody knows how big that football weekend is in Jacksonville. We actually decided the night before the game to do an exhibition fall baseball game, and that was a huge hit. Folks were already in the parking lots anyway, and so that was a lot of fun. And so we love college baseball. Frankly, it's just great. It's great seeing these kids play, and they're low maintenance, and they love getting out there and playing for all the reasons that Josh and I think all of us did when we were kids.
Thanks, Ken.
Hey, Skip, and then I'm going to come back to you, Ken, on the second part of this. But Skip, you first of all, for those that don't follow college baseball as much, I want you to think John Wooden in basketball, because Skip Bertman is the John Wooden of college baseball. 18 appearances in Omaha for the World Series for LSU over the last 3 decades, 6 national championships. I mean, these are numbers that you can't even imagine today, but Skip was a big part of that. But Skip, talk about your experience in Omaha, because I don't know if any of the folks on the screen have been to the College World Series, but it is truly something special. And when LSU goes there, the entire state comes with it, and the entire state of Nebraska loves that LSU is in those games.
Yeah, we've got a beautiful set of fans that kind of made Omaha their second home, staying in the same hotels and eating in the same restaurants. A dish here in Louisiana called jambalaya was never in Omaha, and now it's everywhere. Red beans and rice, is everywhere in Omaha. And it's a great place, Omaha. Wonderful, wonderful stadium now. And even the old stadium was wonderful, had a lot of things about it that were very, very good. But Omaha is a wonderful place. That's where everybody wants to go. But they have a system. They used to have one 6-team tournament, and then the winner would go to Omaha. But now they have 4-team tournaments, and then the winner has to have what they call, a super weekend to see who goes to Omaha. And of course, that's all for television. And we're lucky that ESPN picks up every single game. So that means you can follow a kid in college and then see how he does when he gets to Omaha. And you may know who he is when he's playing the minor league ball, and of course, big league ball. And I'm having a chance now, Arnie, to watch, some big league baseball. I really enjoy it. I think that the major leaguers, by the way, deserve a lot of credit for getting this thing done. I think that's important. I think that the bubble theory now that they're going to, and two ballparks and then 2 in the other league, I think that's a good idea. I think that baseball has always been at the forefront, from Jackie Robinson when he stepped in and broke the color barrier, to just about now the DH probably will be in both leagues. I think baseball's always been at every level. And while football seems to be the national pastime, I don't buy it. I think that most people add low ratings to football games, folks. And people wonder why. Why would they have low ratings? We used to watch football for, an escape, or a team was rooting, or in some cases, not us, but in some cases, people may bet on, the ball game. All right, well, this time it's different. I think when you look at a football game, you see a lot of politics, and you see a lot of one side or the other. And teams are trying to unify, but I don't think they're doing a real good job of that. And I think that's why the numbers were so low, when you expect that during the pandemic here that they'd be very high, since people are sitting at home not doing much. And anyway, that's one man's opinion.
Right.
Okay, for the most part, Arnie, go ahead.
No, I was gonna kind of shift it a little bit to Ken, and you're right. Baseball has really evolved the last couple of years. With some of the new rules of, the three batter rule, obviously in Major League Baseball now, and what happens in a tie after 9 innings. So baseball is evolving. Ken, in the minor leagues, baseball is definitely evolving, and I want to segue into that because we're at a pivotal point right now for minor league baseball. And just maybe, I know the system, but educate the folks a little bit as to what was the system and what coming October 1st may be the system.
Well, Skip alluded to it. When you think about each major league team had multiple levels of player development, rookie league baseball, short season league baseball, multiple levels of A baseball. And then I think most folks know that, the higher levels of minor leagues, there's double A, there's triple A, and then there's the major leagues once they leave the minor league system and ultimately get promoted to the major leagues. Well, that made up a network effectively of 160 minor league teams. And what we're likely to see, and has been widely reported, I'm not telling tales here out of school, is that agreement between minor league baseball and major league baseball is actually set to expire here in about 2 weeks. And it's all but understood. And I think everybody's coming to terms with the fact that environment will go from about 160 teams down to about 120. In fact, 120 appears to be the number that we're hearing will be the team. And so that ultimately means there's 40 communities throughout the United States that are going to lose affiliated baseball in the traditional sense. Now, Major League Baseball has committed to find a way to keep baseball alive and well in those communities. They've talked about the notion of a different kind of amateur league, maybe something called the Dream League. So we'll have to find out more over time what that'll entail. And how the expenses, I think Skip was alluding to it, how the expenses of those kinds of teams work. For those that don't sort of understand, and happy to share the intricacies of minor league baseball, as the owner of a minor league baseball team, we really control everything outside the lines. In Akron or in Jacksonville, the players, the trainers, everything that really has to deal with the coaches, the game itself, they're employees of the Miami Marlins. And so the Marlins will make decisions in terms of who's on our roster, who our manager is, who the third base coach is. We assist and compensate for travel and help out with lodging and making sure that the guys have what they need, certainly take care of the player facilities, the stadium. I was just sharing with Ari offline a little insider news that our field in Jacksonville is actually in the process of getting a brand new field replacement, which we're hoping to share with the Marlins next spring when they come back. But I think that there's so much change in terms of the roles and the responsibilities for what minor league will be responsible for at our level, what major league costs will be covered by the major leagues. I think ultimately you'll see less minor league players. The players that do make it will be compensated more, which is absolutely needed. I think that's, you don't have to find too many articles on the web to really see that's a problem that needs to be solved. And what we hope is a better system moving forward over a long term, so that there's, great assurance that baseball remains in communities like Jacksonville and all over the country. And so I think that we ultimately, at the end of the day, are very confident about what the new deal is going to look like. But with any business, there's always periods of uncertainty, and that's where this negotiation is. But both sides are committed to getting there, and I think I think you'll see deeper into the fall a plan for minor league baseball, which will be very, very exciting. And we're really proud to be the Marlins affiliate, and we're really proud to be the Cleveland Indians affiliate. And I see Skip nodding his head. I do have a question for Skip, if it would be appropriate to ask it. Skip, your memory seems incredibly sharp. I wanted to ask you about an outfielder that was drafted, that played for you in 1987 by the name of Joey Bell. Everybody else will remember him by the name Albert Bell. He played in our Double-A affiliate in Akron. They were actually playing the Canton Akron Indians at that point, long before I was in Ohio. But you have to share a good college story for us about Albert Bell, because we understand he was a character.
He was Joey Bell. And, I asked him, just say Joe, don't say Joey. And he did that. His mother was very active and would come to most games, and he was a great player, Kenny. He did something that not everybody does. He listened to me, and he was taught how to hit the ball to the right field side of the diamond. And when he did that, because of all his strength and skill level, remember, he wasn't even drafted out of high school. And he and his twin brother were on the team. Twin brother was not as good, of course. Anyway, Joe was pressured, he felt pressured, and he was taken in the first pick of the second round, Ken, in his junior year. And he was very upset because they took a high school kid by the name of Ken Griffey Jr. Joe was really upset about that. And how could they do that, Coach? But anyway, he hit a lot of homers and some great distances. He could hit them over right field, center field, left field. And finally, Cleveland Indian scouts said, I'm going to go with him. And because he had a temper,
Yes.
he could be made out, he was very angry. And we tried to fix it, but it was, I wasn't successful at it. But I must say, he was a good young man at LSU for me, and his twin brother played 4 years. He was an excellent guy and a good player as well. Yeah, and then you had him for one minor league season, but then I went to Cleveland to see Paul Bird, another alumnus, and they were very kind because the skipper at that time, the manager, had played at Wichita State, and when we had won, and he said, come on in. So I got in the locker room and I got to share a lot of stories with the clubhouse people. I don't know, he didn't seem like that when he played, when he was a freshman, a sophomore, junior at LSU, but they had some amazing, awful stories. And the kid, he was traded, but he had 50 homers and 140 RBIs, Ruthian type numbers, so in reality, he wasn't very good socially, but he was a great baseball player.
I'd probably choose Ken Griffey over Albert Bell too. I'm just going to put in the chat box for everybody watching. I can't hold back in doing this. You must click on this link and look at the players that were drafted by major league teams over the course of the time that Skip was running that program at LSU. It is an incredibly impressive list of players that many have gone on to having wonderful major league careers. So I'll put that in the chat box for anybody who wants to see it.
Yeah, and you're so amazing. You're so amazing. That's really thoughtful of you. Let me ask you both then this question. Danny put it up. I think it's a good one. Aside from Sandy Koufax and Hank Greenberg, best Jewish ball players.
Ken? Who you got, Ken?
I don't have the depth to answer that like you, Skip. Go ahead.
Well, I had, in watching and having, I think Ben McDonald's the best player, best athlete for sure, and the best player that ever played at LSU. And as Ken knows, and I have grandchildren in Baltimore, I've been there many times. And it's a beautiful place. And I'm glad that, they live there. That's a wonderful place, even though it's a long way, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But I had some great players, and so has Paul, the coach that followed me. Alex Bregman, for example, was the best shortstop I've ever seen at LSU. And we had lots of guys that played in the big leagues that were drafted as shortstops. But Bregman was really exceptional. And of course, he was the second pick in the country. And the first pick is still playing for Atlanta now. And of course, he's a great player too from Vanderbilt. But it's hard to equate all the players. The best 4-year player that I ever had, Ken, was Eddie Furness. Now, he was drafted and he played some minor league ball and then he became a doctor, okay? he was really tremendous for me. He's still got a lot of NC2A records. The best 3-year player was Todd Walker, who wasn't drafted out of high school, but was 8th pick in the draft, the first round as a junior. And of course, he became a 14-year big leaguer. And but I also had a 1-year player in Brandon Larson, a junior college transfer. Boy, was he good. And of course, the bats were still electric before they switched them to, more common sense bats. And he hit 40 homers. And he played great shortstop for me. And one of the scouts, I won't tell you, he called me and he said, "Do you think he can play?" He says, "We want to take him, but I'm having a little trouble." He says, "This kid can't miss." And of course, you should never say that. And Brandon, he took Brandon in the first round, about the 21st pick. And Brandon got hurt immediately. And then he broke his ankle at another time, and he hurt his knee. And as Ken will tell you, it is very, very difficult to play 162 games in 180 days without getting hurt at some time. You got to be very, very fortunate, to be able to play most of the games, say 155 or 152, and take your rests from time to time. But I have had some great ones. Donna, it's hard to tell just who, some of them, the ones that are doctors and lawyers and teachers and coaches, to me, they're great too. Some of them were great players, but they weren't drafted. You know what I mean?
I would say this, one of my favorite was Rod Carew. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to say Rod. Usually, no, we did this in tennis. Remember, Arnie? And the whole chat lit up. Everybody knew Jewish tennis players. It was fun.
Absolutely.
That's going to Skip, you've been an Olympic coach, but you've been a Maccabi USA coach. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Let me tell you about the Maccabi. I really enjoyed that. Arnie called me out of the blue. I wanted to give something back. I called a fellow coach at junior college that I knew for many years, Steve Hertz, and we both went down to Mexico City to coach. Now this is a tough one, Kenny. You'll get 16 and under. Find a Jewish kid that's 16 and under. That's hard.
Well,
Okay.
that's funny because we have a coach right now looking for those kids in the chat. So if anyone wants to help them, that would be good.
Right. Yeah, well, it's changed, but I enjoyed the Maccabi. They did a wonderful job. Everybody that was involved, including elderly people playing tennis or people, they really wanted it. And softball, they really wanted it. All the baseball players went out to the softball games. They really wanted it. And in that sense, I thought it was really tremendous. I think I still keep in touch with some of those kids. One of them played professional baseball, and he was easy to pick out, even as a 16-year-old. And he didn't play in the big leagues, but he played minor league baseball. Lots of other kids went to school, and when I went around to the SEC teams, they came by with their fathers and said hello. And but I treated them like college players and gave them a lot of information that I give to LSU players, and I think they all appreciated that.
Well, Skip, you were unbelievable. I remember that call to you, and I didn't know you, and to have somebody of your stature say immediately, "I want to go to Mexico and I'll be the Maccabi coach," was really special. I want to tell a story, but Ken, I want to tell you something. One of the greatest Jewish players in minor league baseball from Jacksonville was the Southern League MVP, and that's Gabe Kapler, who, as we know, is now the manager up in Frisco. But he was a great guy, great ball player back in the AA days. Skip, one of the story I got to just tell you, you may not even remember this, but as a sport chair for Maccabi, one of the jobs of the sport chair, I mean, we leave the coaching and the player selection to the coach, but we've got to go out and raise money and also get the kids with equipment and uniforms. And I remember you said to me, "Arnie, don't worry about that. Come to Chicago. I have an ABCA convention." And I came and met you there. and every vendor in baseball knew you and was basically throwing things, bats, balls, uniforms. So we walked away. We were the best equipped team in Mexico City in the history of the games, I think.
Right. Well, there were 5,000 people, probably 1,500 vendors, and they're at the point where they have to give you back something, and that's why I knew them all. That's a good story, Arnie. I'm glad you remembered that. It was a pleasure for me to work with the kids. They're beautiful kids. The parents were heads up. You got to be, and that ain't gonna work. My kid doesn't play enough. That's the great thing about pro ball, that the kids tell me all the time. No parents are there, and it's good to have a manager, and it's good to have a couple of coaches, and it's good to play in the off season, and it's good to weightlift and watch what you eat and do a lot of other things if you're going to get to the big leagues. There's only been somewhere about 25,000 big league ball players in history, going back, into the late 1800s. And the truth of it is it's a long shot for anybody. And big league baseball recruits from every country. It's not just the kids in the United States. It's kids in Japan or Korea, or Taiwan. Now, I think there's 16 countries, Kenny, that are represented in the big league format. So you have Kim pitched last night, against another guy. And, it's hard to follow them because they move very quickly and they come from a lot of other countries. I think that's a problem that we have to overcome, in pro ball, because the game itself is the best. One of the problems is that we make it look so easy on television, and it's the toughest sport to play. It's cruel. It's not a kid's game, but it's a cruel sport. And you can loop one in, and you can hit a line drive, and somebody catches it for double play, and it's very unfair that way. On the other hand, if you're really focused and you play a pitch by pitch and you go every single game and you really pay attention, you can move a lot quicker. And there are guys in the big leagues that are smarter, not more talented, but smarter and harder working than lots more talented guys who just couldn't make it. Right. So I'm very proud, by the way. I don't have much time, and we don't have much time. And I just want to say I'm very proud, Arnie and Donna, very proud to have done the Maccabi event, okay? And I still get the mail, and I still get the emails, and I think that's wonderful. Right. I also want to say to Ken, you're the greatest, and to be a second generation guy is always best. To grow up around a clubhouse is always dynamite. And obviously that's why you're so knowledgeable and successful. That's one of the reasons. And Arnie, thanks for picking me. Donna, thanks for hosting me. I gotta go, in 2 minutes to the radio show.
All right, go do your radio show. Thank you so much. We're gonna.
All right, thank you very much.
Skip, thank you so much.
Thank you, Skip.
Hey, Donna, I just want to ask Ken one quick question here.
I want to ask Ken one quick question, if it's okay.
Okay, you go first.
All right. Yeah. Let me do this. Well, no, I want to, like what Skip was talking about, major league talent on the field. I'm gonna just talk about Ken's major league talent off the field. Unbelievable business guy, marketer, but has this incredible sense, this incredible heart for community. I never thought this would happen today, but this is an incredible night because a couple of years ago, I went to Ken. He was just new in town. I spoke to his dad. I saw his name in the paper. I said, "Is that your son?" He said, "Yes." I said, "I'm here and I just want to know him. And if I could help him, I will." But it turned out that he helped me because I have this incredible friend who started coming to our show every 2 weeks. His name is Evan Yegelwell. And Evan is battling ALS. And the fact that he comes every week is fantastic. He sends me notes afterwards. And I went to Ken and said, "You know what, let's do a community-wide fundraiser." We called it Evan's Hope. because Evan's hope is that we can beat ALS. And we all know that the tragedy about ALS is there's no one there to, fight for them at some point. And Ken Babby was unbelievable. He marshaled everything. We all got T-shirts. We had hundreds of people at the stadium. I think it was a tremendous lift for Evan. He's with us tonight. So he sent this note and he said that he loves us both, but truthfully, Evan, you are our inspiration. And Ken, I will always be thankful to you for that. But I think it's also what minor league baseball teams do. I think what teams do to engage with communities and lift up their fans is just incredible. And the fact that all three of us are on tonight, I mean, in a million years, if you put it in a betting book, I would never have thought that would happen.
Donna, thank you. And Evan, I know you can't speak. We got your note, and I hope you can hear us. And I will never forget. That was an incredibly emotional day for all of us at the ballpark. We love you. And when you sat there and read that message, very Lou Gehrig-esque, by the way, on that PA system that Sunday afternoon, I think we all had chills. And so thank you for being there and giving us a message of courage and hope. And I didn't know you were planning on attending tonight, and I'm honored and just struck that you join us. So thank you very much. And Donna, I think the excitement continues because my dad actually just joined the Zoom call as well. So I think this is just growing by the hour here. Pretty unbelievable.
Oh, where is he? I don't know if will he show us his face? Probably not. But it's always good to see you wherever you are. So, there is that you? Yes, there you are. Yes. That's Ken Babby, I know, but I can see you.
Hi. You're muted.
All right, Arnie, you had one last question before we go?
No, I was just gonna. First of all, that's a very nice story, and Ken, as I've learned and read about you, I mean, you fit that perfect mold of minor league baseball owner right now that really understands the importance of community and giving back, and clearly what Donna just told is a reflection of that. I just wanted to ask you, because it's Maccabi, and where most of us or all of us are Jewish. I think there's a lot of excitement in the Jewish sports field right now about the Olympics, hopefully next year in Japan, and the Israeli team qualified and will be playing. And I think for all of the Major League Baseball fans, I'm sure you all have been following Dean Kramer and the Baltimore Orioles the last couple of weeks. That's a great story of an Israeli being drafted and having success. But talk about where all of that fits in terms of your Judaism and your pride and involvement in sports.
Well, I'd say this about the Kramer story is an amazing one, because you watch, I watch almost every Oriole game. I'm a fanatic, and at the end of the game on O's Extra, and by the way, I should call out Marty and Greg Rosenbaum again, because their daughter is the director of baseball development there, and had a fabulous interview on Masson tonight. An incredible force and leading woman in baseball on the baseball ops side. So just a call out to her. But the Israeli sports media is following this kid playing games at regardless of the time. His first three starts have been incredible, and I think we all remember that run that Team Israel went on last year or the last Olympics, and I think we're all really excited to continue to watch the evolution of that team. We had a few players in Akron that actually came through that played on that team, and then the manager was managing the Hartford Yard Goats, another great minor league baseball team name. And when he came to town in Akron on like a freezing cold April weekend, the bus pulls into the players' lot, and I was there with my Team Israel uniform, and I had it sign it. I have it in my office. It's a pretty incredible story, and I think mostly like all things, like everybody will understand on this call, it's a story of adversity, and I think we just all love those stories.
Without doubt. And speaking of, this story is on September 22nd. The Olympic baseball team, Israel Road to Tokyo. We have a talk with Maccabi alumni from the Olympic baseball team on the 1-year anniversary of their qualifying for the Olympics. So 9/22, September 22nd at 1 o'clock. Put that on your calendars. We can talk more baseball. Arnie, I think it's time for us to go.
Yeah,
And,
it's been a great show. Really.
this is like kind of it, right? You know, people just hang around, they talk, they want to talk some more. But we're going to call it a night. Jay Blackburn, it's nice that you're there. We're talking about his brother was a all-star Hall of Fame softball player who played in the Maccabi games. I loved him. He was a great guy. He was a great Maccabi teammate. We all loved Dave, and he sadly passed away. So Jay, we love and remember your brother. Let me say this to all of you. It's the new year. And I don't know if it changes 2020, but we can certainly lean into a new year that's not 2020, which is nice. So I wish all of you, Arnie, I'm sure you join me in extending the most important wish for a new year, which is a healthy new year. Enjoy your families. I hope all your recipes turn out as good as mine. That is if I choose to make them. Next week, as you heard, we will be with Ari Ackerman, who is one of the partners of the Marlins. So this baseball talk can continue, but we'll talk about the broader context of ownership in sports, as well as philanthropy, and whatever else Ari wants to talk about. I had no idea he's the founder of Bunk One. If any of you had kids at camp, it was your life-saving connection to your kids. I loved that technology. Without further ado, Arnie, you want to just say goodbye? Mr. Babby, I'm so glad to see you. Mr. Babby, I'm so glad to see you. Thank you so very much. And Barry and Tamar and everybody else who's joined us, we're really so grateful. Thank you, David and Bruce. Arnie?
Yeah, Ken, thank you for an engaging evening, and good luck to you. Let's get baseball back, both in Ohio and Florida. We need minor league baseball back, and to you and to your family, and to everybody on the call, Shana Tova, let the new year be a happy, a healthy, and a sweet one for everyone.
Shana Tova.